Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the second video in the system scan project that I'm doing, and I just want to show you a little update. I have added another ability to this off camera. I wanted to record this one, the full process and everything, but my wife has some hours changing her job, and so I'm just kind of getting things done when I can right now until we get used to the new schedule. So just going to go over a few things that have been changed, and by the time this video goes out, I will have this pushed to GitHub, so it should be showing up there as well. So here in our main file says scan.py. I tested this on my laptop, which runs a little different from my desktop machine, and it was having an issue with the original os.get login, and I found that using the os environ option still worked, got the username, and so I went with it. But I left the other one in here, so in case you get on a system where this isn't working, you can try that one. And if both aren't working, open up an issue ticket, send me some screenshots, and see if we can get it fixed. So other than that, nothing else much has changed here. Now here in the hub, you can see that I did add a new module, home search, and I decided to break this out from home scan, which was my original idea to put in. But what is home scan? Well, home scan I'll show you in a minute, is a separation from the present working directory test up here. Anyways, we come down here, we just call this, give the and add to the results just like how we do others. Now, those of you who have been doing Python for a while, you'll notice this on search. Well, this is because I ended up making a multi-function class. It's a pseudo test, nothing changed there, except I did remove, and you'll see this in the final output, for the successful test, there was some words, some other stuff here. I removed those. I did that from the present working directory. And if you watched my last video or seen the older code, you know that here there was another little if statement going through looking at getting the list of directories and everything. That's what I broke out and I turned into home scan here. So this just runs that ls-al/home command and then gives us back the information of all the files it found and the permissions and ownerships. So the big new thing is this home search, which I was going to put in here, but I decided to break it out because it would just be, I think, easier that way. Plus, being a multifunction class on its own, things can be added here for it to search for in the home directory. So as you see here, module for searching the home directory. This will look inside directories in home and see if it can find any files named user.txt or flag.txt, which those are the two most common file names in CTFs for your flags. It will then look for a .ssh folder and attempt to see if there are any files in it. So basically it's going to search any folder it's able to read in home, look for a .ssh because that could be a potential. We could grab credentials, we could add credentials type of situation to allow connecting to a remote machine easier. And the way I like to do these multifunction classes is I'll just collapse all this so it's easier to navigate. So down here is where we're calling into main entry. Now I apologize if some of this code runs together. It's typically how I code. I need to go back and clean up, maybe put a bit more notes in here. So this runs the main handler of the class, which is search home direct. Now, the reason why I've got these broken up is because main entry, it handles the formatting of the results to send back to the hub. And I wanted to break this out and keep it separate in case I wanted to change things up here or I wanted to do something a little different down here. It's just broken into different sections so it's a little easier to manage. This will call this right here, and in turn this calls these two functions. So if we didn't find any flags, it'll just print out flags found 0. If we did find flags, it'll go out and print that there was some found, how many, and then list the name, the path, and the actual flag itself if it's able to read the file. And then if there's an issue, it will get the error report back here. And this chunk of code is for the SSH folder, and it's basically doing the same thing. If it doesn't find any, it'll print out that it didn't find any. If it did, it'll print out how many there are, and then list name, path, and the files it contains. So search home directory. So we have our result dictionary here, flags, SSH folders. And this is like this section here, how you know you're in a section that I use AI because I do like these comments. I want to get better about doing them. And this is just a better looking format. If it's me, this has all been one line and I may take it down, but it looks nice and it's easier to read when you're setting up a variable for those who need to know what's going on. So down here, it checks to see if the home directory doesn't exist, and then it attempts to read access to it, and then it will attempt to go through and get a directory of all the folders. And then it'll go through, and for each folder it finds in the home directory, it'll check to see that it is a directory, because the original code, so this is just kind of like a buffer in case list directory here. returns like file names, which I think it does if I remember correctly. So that's a buffer, so we have a separator for if it's a directory or if it's a file. Because if it's a file, we want to skip. If it's a directory, we'll continue. So basically this if continue statement diverges like that. So this only executes if it is a directory. So then first it does the search flag, and that's just going to look for those two files in the directory. And then this will turn the SSH results, which again just looks for a .ssh folder. Of course, we have errors here for, hey, permissions denied to this directory, or if there's an actual error, it'll print out the error scanning statement. Okay, so here we are for the search for flags function. And this one's a bit nested. I looked it over, and right now that looks the best to me for how to do it. May revisit this, see if there's another way to, because I don't like nesting things that deep. It can get messy if you're not able to mentally keep it straight. But basically what this does is come down, gets all the directory information off the base path, which is going to be your /home, and it's going to look in the files in each of the directories and just check, is it named user.txt or flag.txt. Of course, we have permission handling here, we got the exception, and then we got where it'll return the flag file name, and then also the contents of the file if it is able to read it. And here I just got permission error, just skipped, not even printing anything out for right now because I don't really see a need to. So if it's a directory we can't access, it just skips it. Alright, the SSH search. So this one, we're going to look for the path to the folder itself and then the files that it contains, if it is able to find it. And all this does is take the OS path we currently have, so it'll be the /home, the username, and it just appends a .ssh to that path. Okay, so down here in our if statement of this, oh, I need to turn those boxes off. You can see that we're just using the OS list directory here on this SSH path, getting the files, and then going through and just listing out the file information, and then just setting that up in this little dictionary results to keep it all organized in case there are multiple SSH folders. Okay, and then here you can see we got our error handling, so if we're not able to access the SSH folder, we get a permission error, and then if there's any other error during the scan, we'll get that back. So that's just a quick overview of all those functions in the new file. If you notice in the sysscan, I changed up here. The results actually get written to a file by taking the host name and appending the -scan.txt to it. And then all it prints out is scan completed and tells you what the file that it saved the results in. So what does this look like now? Let's run it. Okay. And yeah, as you see, I left the password being visible in there. I figured when you're on an attack box, that just helps make sure you tap the right password. So as you can see, it says scan completed, results are saved in Rivendell-scan.txt file. So we open it up here. You see we have the same printout we had on the screen, but now it's just in a text. So sudo test. And I got rid of the extra information here, like the scan complete and output. I just got rid of that because honestly, looking on it with fresh eyes, I decided it wasn't the best, at least not in my opinion. So here you can see again, as user Gandorf, we're able to run all commands on this system with sudo. There's where we are running the code from, our present working directory. And then here's the home scan. See, before, if you hadn't noticed or hadn't seen the first video, this was all you would get back. Show you what the ls command returns so you can see all the important information. Down here is what we've added. So as you can see, I made a test file called flag.txt. Shows you it's in my home directory and then the contents of it. And then here I do have an SSH folder because I manage a few servers here at the house and I have a cloud server as well. And it shows you the full path to it, the username it's for, and then here are the files that are listed there. Well, if you made it this far in the video, I thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you find this little project interesting, the link to the public GitHub will be down below. And leave me comments. Let me know what you think about it. Something that you may think we should add to this. Have any questions about the coding itself. I do my best to read all the comments and reply back. And if you find the project interesting on GitHub, start, follow it, and maybe think about contributing. I'm always open to other people helping out with these things. So I hope you all have had a good week, and I'll see you next time.